Is an important next week Wednesday is actually an important day because what happened was Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe met business and labor. They agreed to ratify a draft document that ensures sustainable mining in South Africa. The 10-page agreement stipulates that the partners recognize the importance of mining in this country for the economy, job creation, and social and economic development. Let's talk a little bit about those issues then. Joining me from our Cape Town studios is the Deputy President of the Republic, Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe. Very good morning to you.
Well, Xolani, you know, we had about 2 weeks lead time to engage with all the stakeholders, and the draft document was really a summation of the issues that they themselves had raised, as well as suggestions that they made. However, as you know, writing a document involves stylistics and issues as well as editing issues. So some of the parties at the end said, well, in principle, we are comfortable with this document. However, we need to go through it properly to be able to commit to it. So we then said, well, we need very tight timelines to go over that, and they said they would be ready by the 26th of this month, and that is why we all agreed, all stakeholders agreed.
And that includes AMCU as well?
That includes AMCU.
Okay,
yes.
So everybody is on board here?
Everybody's on board. Well, for starters, it would, eliminate the frequent occurrences of in acts of intimidation and violence and unprotected strikes. In other words, disruptions to the productive arrangements. So that's what it will do. But of course, we also emphasize that the irritants, all the issues that trigger off such disruptions, have to be addressed by all parties. So that's what it would do, so that, there should be certainty that there are issues for collective bargaining which are handled during that season, or for collective bargaining outside of that season. Those issues should be off the table, as it were. So there's a clear understanding that in the short term there are those kinds of problems and irritants that would have to be addressed with immediate effect. And then, of course, there are the other social determinants of the irritants, which may require a bit of time. That relates, among other issues, to the migrant labor system, for instance, the fact that, these workers are recruited in the labor forwarding areas, separated from their families, and therefore, have the responsibility of sending remittances back home, and those of them that are young, and they stay in the mines for a year. Those of them that are young end up, living in the informal settlements around the mines, and that leads to all manner of social instability. Yeah, well, that's a matter that is actually regulated in law, because the law stipulates at what threshold is a union declared a majority union, and what rights then are attached to such status, and the threshold for other unions to have organizational rights, in other words, the right to have a presence on the mine and to hold your own meetings and all of that is all attached to thresholds. So any other union which meets those thresholds is allowed to be in that space, and there shouldn't be any turf war which goes beyond the bounds of competition. Well, as I understand it, the AMCU is a new arrival in the platinum sector. all along there's been NUM, and the workers themselves left NUM, or disaffected and left NUM, not to join AMCU, but they formed what they call workers' committees. And of course, AMCU then became their home later. And that is why in the early days of these upheavals there, it couldn't have been correct to attach blame to AMCU, because at that point they weren't really these workers had organized themselves into workers' committees outside of the NUM. Well, I'm aware that they've been meeting on a regular basis, because I've had to be in touch with all these stakeholders. I'm aware that they've been meeting, and that they've found a meeting point, which is the reason why the notice for going into strike has not been issued, and so they shouldn't be partisan in when they are on the public platforms, and that's exactly what I did. And that is why, if you recall, Xolani, when the president was asked that very specific question, the president emphatically stated that as government we are neutral in these matters, and AMCU has accepted the bona fides. Last week Fridays we were meeting in Pretoria. They were seated next to Mr. Mathunjwa was seated next to Minister Shabangu, and the bona fides were accepted.